Former Labor leader Kim Beazley spent 5 years in Washington as Australian ambassador and has long been a student of American politics. He joined me from Perth to give his take on the election result. Kim Beazley, Americans clearly want this result. They want Donald Trump to be their president. What is it that they now want him to do?
Well, no, they don't want him to be president. You'll find that we're going to get a real legitimacy issue rise. So Donald Trump will win the Electoral College, Hillary Clinton will win the popular vote, and there'll be a lot of unhappy people in the United States that Donald Trump is going to have to reach out to, and he's shown no capacity to do that to this point. So there'll be trouble rattling around there. But that's their problem. That's not ours. Our problem is with what he intends to do in the area of foreign policy. And great pressure is about to come on us, because we are members of the only alliance his team unreservedly approves of. And because some of his initiatives are going to seriously disturb people in the East Asian and Southeast Asian area, they're going to look to us to play some sort of mitigating role. They won't say that overtly, but they'll come to us privately, and they'll be wanting to hear from us privately on what we intend to do about it. When Trump comes in a couple of months, we're going to have to really sit down and think through how we handle our responsibilities here, because running away is not an option.
Well, how do you think we should handle them?
There's some sort of view in Australia that we're little Sir Echo and we're just supine recipients of direction and advice from the US. Far from the truth, that. We have our own point of view about what our interests are and, frankly, what theirs are. And how do we handle it? Well, we handle it by using all the tools that we have to get into an influence policy, and there are a lot. When I was in the embassy in Washington, we were always into senior policy decision-making zones. We just continue that process, and our ministers start to turn up in greater numbers in the United States, at least for a time. We need to be mindful of the need to engage with them. After all, the US is where all our money's going. It's Australian investment is rising rapidly in the United States, and the more money that we have to be invested through our superannuation funds, the more it's turning up there. Lots more than, frankly, than turns up in China or anywhere else in Southeast Asia. That's going to continue.
Well, what can I ask? Sorry, if I can just pick you up on that point on the economy. What do you think are the aspects of the Australian economy that are most exposed? And is there anything Australia can do to mitigate that risk?
Oh, I don't think the economy is exposed per se. I mean, movements in the stock market's one thing. But I suppose the exposure will come indirectly. And that is, if he really does start whacking tariffs on the Asian region generally and China specifically, which he can do under the authority that the President has, that is going to be destabilising economically in the region where most of our exports go. That's going to be a problematic thing, and that's one of the reasons why we should engage in the way in which I've suggested.
Some of what you're talking about in terms of the way we engage assumes rationality on the part of the other player. But given that what we've witnessed from Trump is that he is erratic, that he is loose with the truth, how can he be viewed as a reliable negotiating partner?
Well, one of the things that's a challenge for him now is to appear one. You know, you can't wander around being erratic and lecturing people over whom you've got no authority. And he is under challenge now. He's got to deliver.
Do you think he can?
If he doesn't start to deliver, then he's not shown the ability, as you say, to this point. But it depends who he appoints. If he starts appointing reasonably sensible Treasury spokesmen, state spokespersons, defence and the rest of it, and he just lets them run by and large in his policy, then no reason why he shouldn't. He'll be in a strong position, I think, the Republicans will be in the Congress. I think they're highly likely, they've certainly retained the House, and given that it'll be a Republican vice president, they've certainly retained the Senate. So there's that side of it which will be pleasing Republicans. There'll be other sides that won't. The Republicans don't like his line. The Republicans don't have the views that Donald Trump has. So he's going to have some difficult conversations as time goes by.
And just finally, are you optimistic or pessimistic about the United States' ability to weather those difficulties?
Optimistic. They're very powerful. And, they may abandon or at least suspend for a period of time the sort of leadership they've offered to the idea of the Western Alliance, the idea of global free trade, rules-based environment, all these things that Trump tends to despise. They may walk away from that, but they're not going to walk away from being massively powerful. They're going through an industrial revival. They're going through a major economic surge. The Republicans and he wants to invest much more in US defence capabilities. They're going to be a formidable bunch to handle. They're always a formidable bunch to handle. They're going to be particularly formidable now.
Kim Beazley, many thanks for your insights this evening.
Good to be with you.